Good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much, Royce, and thank you for the opportunity to worship with you today. My name is Mark Hinzman. I'm a fellow Lutheran. I'm an Arlington resident, a member of King of Glory in Dallas, and like some of you, born and raised in the Midwest and a lifelong Lutheran, and so glad to be here to worship with you today. My message today is a generosity opportunity called legacy giving, which is often referred to as planned giving as well. Some may ask, what is a legacy gift? The most common definition of a legacy gift is when a person dies and their estate is being settled, their assets are being distributed, they remember their church and/or other organizations with an end-of-life gift or some of the proceeds from their estate. Legacy giving presents an enormous opportunity for our church. If you look at the age demographics of the U.S., and yes, I'm 65 years old, so I'm in the senior category, we are in the midst of the largest intergenerational transfer in our country's history. If you drive around a college or university, you see building programs, hospitals are expanding, nonprofits, there's new programs and services being introduced all the time. Many of these are funded by legacy gifts. I know some people may say another stewardship request or idea with everything going on in this chaotic world of ours. Well, again, folks, this isn't something today to give, it's to plan today and to be implemented at the end of your life when your estate is being settled. The ELCA has become much more active in encouraging legacy gifts in recent years. If you read the Living Lutheran magazine, there's usually 2 full-page ads now in an issue that encourage legacy giving. Churches are now increasing awareness about this, doing what you're doing here with receiving a presentation and setting up programs to encourage legacy gifts. It's an opportunity for us to support our church after we're gone. Les informed me that Hope Lutheran recently received a legacy gift from a church in Fort Worth. They were ending their ministry, selling their church building, and distributing their assets. And what a wonderful show of generosity for that church to decide to continue to support fellow Lutherans and give a gift to Hope, which enabled you to pay off your mortgage and use the funding that previously went to the mortgage for other ministries. That's the concept of what we're talking about here. Their mission ministry was ending, but they chose to continue to support their fellow Lutherans moving forward. Bishop Eric Gromberg and the Mission Endowment Fund Board for the Synod, which I'm a member, recognized the opportunity for legacy gifts, and last year we launched an initiative called Legacy Partners. So I'm here today to encourage you to think about a legacy gift, share some information and a story. A couple of things I'll say up front. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not asking you for a contribution today. My purpose here is to share some information about legacy giving, encourage you to think about and pray about it, and I'll share some of my experiences, and I have a story to share, which I think may resonate with many of you. I've been involved in legacy giving for 18 years, and my experience is generous Lutherans who practice regular stewardship are very interested in leaving a legacy gift for the church. But we have a challenge with awareness. Many people do not think about the possibility of leaving a legacy gift, or they may think that is something for wealthy people, that you have to set up a fancy estate plan. It's complicated, expensive, you need a big estate. That is not the case. A legacy gift can be given in as little as about an hour's time, and it doesn't cost anything to set up. And it gives you the opportunity to support the church after you're gone. So I'll give you 2 quick examples. Let's say you have a couple with 2 adult children. A common estate distribution for an investment policy would be when the second spouse passes, each child gets 50% of like an investment account or a life insurance policy. An example of a legacy gift would be each child would get 45% and 10% would go to the church. A second example, another opportunity would be to change your will. Now, some people would prefer not to change your will, and there's a way to give a legacy gift without doing that. There's a document called a codicil. A codicil is a simple one-page document which amends your will, where you state the name of the beneficiary of your gift, let's say Hope Lutheran. You specify a percentage of your estate or a dollar amount. You take that down to the bank, sign it, have it notarized, and you're done. So no cost to you, and it's accomplished with a simple trip to the bank. Like a lot of Lutherans, I prefer not to really talk about myself, but I'll share with you some things my wife and Kathy and I went through as we made the decision to leave a legacy gift. Excuse me. In 2005, my home congregation, King of Glory, decided to form a legacy giving committee to increase awareness and encourage members to make legacy gifts. I was invited to join that committee, and candidly, my first response was, "Thank you for the invitation, but can you tell me what legacy giving is?" We'd been members there for 20 years, but it was something that had never been discussed at our church, and I was unfamiliar with it. But as Kathy and I learned more, we became really excited about the opportunity to make a legacy gift. It was a chance for us to support the church beyond our lifetime. It wouldn't impact our current stage of life. At that point, we had a mortgage, we had 2 daughters, one in college, one about to enter college. We were trying to plan for retirement. We had a lot of stuff going on in our lives. But we looked at this and said, this isn't going to impact us at all until the end of our life. So yes, we're interested. A 2-part question we prayed about, and this is something I always share with people I talk about with legacy giving, is if I've given to the church throughout my adult lifetime, is there a reason I also wouldn't give to the church at the end of my life? If we have shared our resources with the church throughout our lifetime, why would we not also share our resources at the end of our life when we no longer have use for them? So for Kathy and I, the answer was obvious or clear. Of course, we would like to continue to support the church after our lifetime with the legacy gift. So why do we give? We give out of faith, generosity, gratitude, and for me personally, an opportunity to pay it forward. Les mentioned to me that you last year celebrated your 40th anniversary. Congratulations. My church just celebrated an anniversary. And as I reflected on that, I thought, I wish I could give all those members that came before us a big hug for all they did in their vision and generosity that me and my family have benefited from in our 40 years of membership. But most of them have passed, so I can't do that. But what Kathy and I can do and have done is we will leave a legacy gift to our church, so we will support future generations of Lutherans, just like those that came before us have supported me and my family. So I'd ask you to think about, what is your story? What is your faith story? Your story with hope? And think about that and consider making a gift. I'm going to share a story with you, which again, I think would resonate with a lot of people, because this is a person who was a lifelong Lutheran, had great faith, did not think this was something for her, but got more information, prayed about it, and achieved a lifelong dream of stewardship with the church. The year was 2010, and at that point in time, my mom was a 79-year-old widow living in a small town in Wisconsin. And as I mentioned, Mom was a big church person. So when we would have our weekly calls, I would ask her about her church. She would ask me about mine. And during one of those calls, she said to me, you know, Mark, I think it's wonderful what you and your church are doing with that legacy giving program, but that wouldn't be for someone like me. And I said, why do you say that, Mom? And she said, well, you know, I don't have a lot of money. I think those legacy gift things are probably for wealthy people with a fancy estate plan. Mark, you're my executor. You understand how important the church has always been to your father and I. I'm confident when that day comes, you'll make the right decision and your sisters will be fine with whatever you decide. And I said, Mom, I appreciate your confidence in me, and I don't anticipate any problems with my sisters if I make the decision, but I think you should make this decision. We're talking about assets that you and Dad had accumulated throughout your lifetime. This can be done at no cost to you, and I can assist you in any way. And Mom said, okay, let's talk about it then. I've got some questions. Her first thing or concern was, I don't want to change my will. It's one page, it's simple, I'm 79 years old. I don't want to deal with that at my age. I said, Mom, you don't have to. There's a page document called the codicil. You enter the name of your church, the amount of your gift, you take it down to the bank and you notarize it, and you're done. It doesn't cost anything, and it can be accomplished with a quick trip to the bank. Number two, Mom said, I don't want to run out of money. Mom was born during the Depression, so she remembered when people didn't have enough money. And I said, Mom, this is an end-of-life gift. Not a penny will be distributed until I settle your estate. And she said, good. Number three, how much do I give? I don't know when I'm going to pass away, so if I pick a dollar amount now, it may not be what I would consider the right proportion to what your dad and I would have intended years down the road. And I said, that's a great point, Mom. A lot of Lutherans give a percentage of their income during their lifetime. Perhaps what you could do is look at what your percentage giving is today and leave that same percentage as an end-of-life gift. And Mom said to me, okay, that sounds good. Let me think and pray about this, and by the way, send me that one-page codicil form that I can take down to the bank. So for the next 3 weeks or so, we had our weekly calls and the matter wasn't brought up. And then one day, my mom called me, which was very unusual because I usually initiated our calls, and she never called on a work day. But I could hear in her voice, she had something big to share. There was some excitement. So Mom said, Mark, I have some news. I just got back from the bank. I took that codicil to the church, and I'm leaving the tithe to my church as part of my estate plan. I am so pleased that I have made this decision. You know, and if your father were alive, he would be so pleased as well. Every year when we filled out our pledge card, we talked about making the tithe, and we always gave as much as we could, but we were never able to give a tithe. Now we can. Now we can, friends. Isn't that a great outcome? My mom was so thrilled to be able to make that end-of-life gift. She lived 6 more years, and she talked often about it, about how thrilled she was to make a tithe gift to her church. And like a lot of Scandinavians, I tried my best not to show my emotions, but I will admit, when I wrote that check out to her church a few weeks after she passed, I was moved to tears. I thought about how thrilled my parents would have been after decades of selflessly giving their time, talents, and treasure that they had now achieved the ability to give a tithe. What a wonderful example my parents left for their children and grandchildren about generosity toward the church. And what a great day for their church and the youth program, as we requested that whenever possible, the funding be used for youth programs. So, in closing, friends, I know you support Hope Lutheran very generously, and thank you for that. But I would also request that you consider making an end-of-life gift plan for Hope and/or other Lutheran organizations. Prayerfully reflect on your journey, what Hope has meant to you, what the church has meant to you, and for the opportunity to impact the generations that follow you. If you're one of those, if your current plan right now is to have your executor or a family member make your decision, I'm not saying that's a bad plan, but I encourage you to experience the joy my mom felt in making that decision, that act of generosity, and the joy that it gave her. Now we can. Amen.